Hello again, and a happy Sunday from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. I continue still for at least three videos, my video series on young murderers or people, regardless of their age today, if they're alive, who are still young or relatively young when committing murders. Mr. Juha Valjakkala, who has since changed his name three times, his current name is Nikita Bergenström, is one of Finland's most notorious still living criminals. In June 1988, he stole a motorcycle from a four-member Swedish family, and then with his girlfriend at the time, he was 23 years old. The girlfriend, Marita Routalammi, was then 21. Proceeded to um, kill, murder. Actually, he was the one who killed uh, the father, mother, and older son of the family. But Routalammi was charged with um, aiding and abetting him. Then they escaped that little town of Omsele in northern Sweden and wandered around Sweden, eventually escaping to Sweden's southwestern neighbor, Denmark, where they were at last caught by the police in the city of Odense. And he was charged with those three murders, while Ms. Routalammi received lesser charges and, of course, theft and so forth as well. Um, and he received life imprisonment, which in Finland, especially since the liberal judicial reforms of the 1960s and 1970s, has almost always meant a maximum of 14 years in jail. However, because of his classification as a dangerous violent offender, he ended up serving, all told, roughly 20 years. Since then, he has engaged in various smaller crimes, such as leaving his apartment without notifying his probation officer or officers, shoplifting, um, causing uh, dangerous situations while his car, driving his car without a valid license, and so forth. And he has been re imprisoned at least on one occasion. So he clearly seems to have had great difficulty adjusting or readjusting to the normal civilian life. Some people, of course, especially on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, particularly in the United States, would consider him a basically irredeemable criminal and would like to lock him up indefinitely, if not even executing him. He was born on June the 13th, 1965, in the western Finnish city of Pori. So he's now 55 years old. Okay, so the murders actually took place on July the 3rd, 1988. Sorry for this slight mistake. So the father of the family was called Sten Nilsson, his wife Eva Nilsson, and their older 15-year-old son was called Fredrik. Their 11-year-old son, who was sleeping in a tent outside their house, survived. So the methods of murder were shooting and stabbing with knife. Also, Mr. Valjakkala, or now Bergenström, has been banned for the rest of her life, for the rest of his life, sorry, from ever returning to Sweden. The series of events that led to the murders began when the then 22-year-old Valjakkala was released from a prison in Turku on Finland's southwestern coast on May the 1st, 1988. What a fine May Day gift. Unfortunately, he wasn't grateful for that, and he was bent on committing more crimes. He had started as a small-time offender at the age of 15 in Äänekoski, an industrial city in central Finland, where he stole or had stolen 5 motor vehicles. In 1980, he was given a suspended prison sentence for these crimes. Later, he stole cars at least in Lapua, western Finland, Jämsä, central Finland, Imatra, southeastern Finland, Western Finland, Juha, Eastern Finland, Piikkio, Southwestern Finland, Espoo, in southern Finland, and Espoo's mighty neighbor, Helsinki, the Finnish capital in southern Finland. In April 1981, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison, which he then served in the youth prison of Kerava in the Helsinki region. A portion of his childhood he spent in Sweden with his mother, where he also committed car thefts and was imprisoned for them. In 1984, he met the then 17 or 18-year-old Miss Marita Routalammi. They soon started to date, and they also committed crimes in Sweden and were sentenced to imprisonment or jail. Marita Routalammi at the time of the murders was 21 years old. On July the 3rd, 1988, they arrived to the small town of Omsele in northern Sweden. At night, Mr. Valjakkala stole a bicycle. Okay, correction, not a motorcycle. He was pursued on a motorcycle by the family's father, Mr. Sten Nilsson, and his 15-year-old son, Fredrik, who caught him at a cemetery, and then Valjakkala made them kneel before shooting them. Fredrik tried to save his life by lying that he was actually younger than he was. Regardless, Mr. Valjakkala dispatched also him. Later, Sten's wife and Fredrik's mother, Eva Nilsson, went looking for the two and was stabbed to death outside the cemetery. Eva was a physically strong woman and was able to struggle against Mr. Valjakkala for a long time before succumbing to her stab wounds. Just over a week later, Mr. Valjakkala and Ms. Routalammi were caught in Odense, Denmark. At the trial, the two defendants blamed each other for the killings, a regular tactic, not just among the criminals, but even among many other people. That if something bad has happened, I mean, I know this as a teacher, especially certain grade school students, whether elementary or junior high school students, blame each other or someone else. Ms. Routalammi was sentenced to 2 years in prison for complicity in assault and battery and released after serving 1 year. Mr. Valjakkala was transferred to Finland to serve out his sentence, the so-called life imprisonment. In 1991, the Swedish director, Mr. Jan Tröll, directed a film on the Omsele killings under the title Il Capitano, or the Captain in Italian, starring the Finnish actor Mr. Antti Reini. In April 1994, Mr. Valjakkala fled the Riihimäki prison where he was being held after taking a teacher hostage. However, he was caught nearby and the hostage was not hurt. He had also tried to escape once in 1991. In 2002, he escaped from the Pyhäselkä prison in North Karelia, eastern Finland, and traveled to Sweden with his then wife, let's see, Mrs. Minna-Maria Huttunen. And was captured after a large police operation in Långträsk, or literally Long Pond or Long Lake. Upon returning to prison after the 2002 escape, he tried to commit suicide by hanging himself in his cell. He next tried to escape from the Sukeva prison in northern Savonia, eastern Finland, but was caught 19 minutes later and under 1 kilometer from the prison walls. Just after midnight on November the 28th, 2006, he escaped for the 4th time, this time from the labor prison on the Finnish southeastern coastal city of Hamina. He was captured on the evening of November the 30th, 2006 in Helsinki, the Finnish capital. Police assaulted the apartment, which was suspected to be Mr. Valjakkala's hideout, and he was captured without resistance. After the incident, Mr. Valjakkala went back to a closed prison. And he eventually was then released on February the 25th, 2008. However, he was rearrested under 2 months later on April the 12th, 2008 for breaking his release terms by, among other things, endangering the traffic, stealing a vehicle, and driving a vehicle without a license, and driving an unlicensed taxi. Valjakkala admitted his guilt. He married his current wife, Alexandra, um, according to Murderpedia, or Wikipedia rather, in May 2008. In December 2008, the Finnish Supreme Court decided that he would be released with a suspended sentence in February 2009. He was paroled again on February the 2nd, 2009, and said he was writing an autobiography. On November the 23rd, 2011, he escaped from Kerava's parole prison. He was found over 1 week later on December the 1st, 2011. Again in Helsinki, it is not believed that Mr. Fugantin, as he then called himself, committed any crimes during his escape. On November the 18th, 2015, he left the Jokela Open Prison in Tuusula to the north of Helsinki, the closed ward, on his granted study leave, and did not return. He was serving a 14-month sentence for assault, aggravated driving under the influence of alcohol, and other petty crimes. He was caught on December the 20th, 2015, in the attic of a house in Helsinki. He even had the audacity to sue the Finnish state for 1,500 euro compensation for pain and ache, or a pain and ache like mental suffering, because he had not been taken from the prison to consult a trauma center doctor in January 2004, because his then wife had been caught in a traffic accident where the wife, however, had not been seriously hurt. And the senior prison guard who was then on duty, had not agreed to let him visit his wife. The district court dismissed the lawsuit in June 2004, using as the reason for the rejection the fact that Mr. Valjakkala had not, on the next working day, sought medical treatment. And Mr. Valjakkala failed to produce any kind of doctor's statement for his alleged mental suffering. The state, however, did have to pay almost 2,400 euros of his court fees. In January 2019, Mr. Fugantin or Bergenström was caught afresh while breaking into, or having broken into, restaurant Kaisaniemi in Helsinki. He was about to steal some alcohol. Because of the danger of continued crimes, and because of the crime cycle, in order to break his crime cycle, he was demanded to be imprisoned. However, the Helsinki District Court did not agree to imprison him. However, in September 2019, the Helsinki District Court changed or stiffened his community service sentence to conditional imprisonment, because he had not performed even an hour of his community service. Originally, he had been sentenced to community service for aggravated driving under the influence of alcohol and for unlicensed driving. He does have the right to appeal the sentence But in order to be able to appeal the sentence or to have his appeal heard, he has to be allowed to do so by the Finnish Supreme Court. According to the Finnish language Wikipedia article on him, in May 2008, he got married for the 7th time. So he seems to be still a fairly dangerous criminal, an unreliable one, and he seems not to have much respect for the law. May God have mercy on him and on the rest of us.